Welcome back to Book to Read. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
This is episode 47.
47?
And we're going deep into Margaret Atwood's classic.
Classic.
The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Those red robes and white bonnets.
Chillin'.
So chilling. It's a chilling book.
Right. Atwood just throws us right into Gilead.
Right into it.
This near future America.
Yeah.
That has been just devastated by environmental disasters and plummeting birth rates.
It's bleak.
It's super bleak.
A bleak world.
And fertile women are stripped of their identities.
Yeah.
And forced into sexual servitude to repopulate the ruling class.
Really makes you think.
It's like a little too real these days.
Yeah.
Dystopian novels.
I know what you mean.
Sometimes I'm like, whoa.
It's a little too close for comfort.
Too close for comfort.
Yeah.
But that's why they're so important.
I think so.
To read,
Yeah.
they make us confront these uncomfortable truths about power
Yeah.
and control and
The human spirit.
The resilience of the human spirit.
It's all there.
And Atwood does this so well by putting us right there
Where?
in Offred's shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Offred is a handmaid,
Handmaid.
and she is assigned to the commander
Uh-huh.
and his wife, Serena Joy.
Serena Joy.
Talk about a tense household.
Oh my gosh, intense.
So intense.
Yeah.
We're right there in it,
Right there with her,
feeling it,
experiencing it all.
experiencing this super rigidly controlled society.
It's interesting how she shows that through all the details.
Like the world.
Like her room.
her room. Yeah.
Spartan. Almost prison-like.
Yeah.
With nothing that she could use to harm herself.
It's very bare.
But then there are these little things,
Little detail.
like the window seat
oh, the window seat.
and the braided rug
Yeah.
that hint at
They hint at her past life.
her past life, this individuality,
Things that Gilead's trying to
trying to erase.
stamp out.
It's almost like she's clinging to those little pieces.
These little pieces of herself.
Yeah.
As her world just shrinks and shrinks.
Yeah. I love how she contrasts that too with the garden.
The garden.
The garden.
Beautiful space.
Beautiful.
With tulips
Tulips?
and willows.
Will.
But it's Serena Joy's.
It's all hers.
And Offred can only just look at it
Just look.
and yearn for it.
Yeah.
I remember when she used to garden
Yeah.
and have those simple pleasures.
The pleasures that we take for granted.
It's so powerful.
It is.
And before we dive any deeper,
Yeah.
let's take a little break
A little break.
and talk about
A place where book lovers.
a place where book lovers can connect and share.
Yeah.
Bookspace.
Bookspace.
Yes.
You can talk about all the chilling reads,
Like The Handmaid's Tale.
like The Handmaid's Tale.
We can swap theories
Oh,
about Offred's fate,
that ending.
that ending.
Right.
You could share those lines from Aunt Lydia.
Oh my gosh.
Spine tingling.
Spine tingling.
It's just this vibrant community
So vibrant.
of bookworms.
Bookworms unite.
It's like your virtual book club.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
You know,
Yeah.
helps you organize your reading list,
Mhm.
discover new authors,
That's my favorite part.
and geek out over all your favorite novels.
Yes.
So if you're ready to unpack all the feels
Oh, the feels.
from this deep dive,
Deep
download Bookspace.
now.
Okay,
No?
back to Gilead.
Back to Gilead.
We've talked about this physical environment
Mm.
and how it's controlled.
Yeah.
But what really struck me is how Atwood shows us the ways
The ways that they control.
that they control information
Yeah.
and language
Language is so important.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
And you see it in the clothes,
the color-coded clothes.
the color-coded clothing that shows everyone's social role.
Immediately you know who's who.
You know who's who.
Right away.
And then the eyes.
The eyes are always watching.
Always watching for any little
Transgression.
transgression, a
Yeah.
word out of place.
You can't even speak freely.
You can't.
Yeah.
And then the wall
Oh my gosh. The wall.
with the bodies of the executed
Yeah.
transgressors.
Oh, so chillin'.
It's chilling.
It's more than just a physical barrier.
It's a reminder
a constant reminder.
of what will happen.
If you disobey.
It's just this constant
Yeah,
surveillance.
not surveillance.
You'd be afraid to think
Yeah.
a rebellious thought.
I can't even imagine.
Can you imagine living like that?
No.
But even in this oppressive place,
Yeah.
we see
Little bits of rebellion.
rebellion.
Oh, yeah.
These cracks in Gilead's facade.
Cracks in the facade.
Like when Offred
It's just those
just little,
things.
like teasing the guardians
Wow, yeah.
with their hips.
There's a little sway of the hips.
A little sway, or finding comfort in her memories their forbidden.
Forbidden memory.
It's like a little war
Her little war.
that she's waging
Yeah.
against this
Oh, God.
regime.
Yeah.
These tiny little moments.
Tiny moments of defiance
Defiance.
Yeah.
And those little acts
become so powerful
are so powerful.
because of how controlled everything is.
It shows that she's not going to be completely subjugated.
She's holding on
She's holding on
to herself.
to her sense of self.
Yeah,
And then there are those messages,
the messages.
the secret messages
By her room.
left
The
by
Handmaid.
the previous handmaid.
Yeah.
Those whispers of hope
Oh, yeah.
and connection.
They're like a lifeline.
A lifeline
To remind
reminding
us
her that she's not
Alone. Oh,
in this.
it's so powerful
It's such a powerful reminder.
because it shows that even with this dehumanizing oppression,
Yeah.
humans
Still connect.
still connect.
Yeah.
And then there's May Day,
Mayday.
the resistance.
The resistance movement.
We don't see much of it,
Yet
not yet. But just knowing it's there
it's there.
gives you hope.
Hope that escape is
Possible.
possible.
Even if it's dangerous.
It's that glimmer of possibility
Glimmer of possibility.
in this just bleak landscape.
Bleak.
And I think it's time that we go into the past,
The past.
the flashbacks,
The flashback.
It's the time before, you know,
Yeah.
to get more of that complexity
More complexity.
of Offred's story.
Yeah. Those memories, they're like these broken pieces
Oh, yeah.
of a mirror.
Like shards
Shards, yeah.
of a broken mirror.
Giving us these little glimpses
Little glimpses
into Offred's life.
before
Yeah.
we see her with her daughter,
Her daughter.
husband Luke,
Luke.
Moira, and
They're just
living life.
living life, and it's just so
Hormonal,
mundane.
mundane, but now
They're so precious.
they're so precious.
Because she's lost it all.
It's just heartbreaking.
It is.
Knowing that her daughter was taken from her,
It just hangs over the whole story.
that loss,
Yeah.
it's like a shadow.
Yeah, it really makes you think about.
It makes those flashbacks
Yeah.
even
like
more
poignant.
poignant because you know what she's lost
Exactly.
and how different her life was.
And it's such a contrast.
Such a contrast.
Not be
to
sterile. Order.
Gilead, it's like a reminder.
It's like she's constantly being reminded
What's been taken?
of what she's lost. And not just her,
Of course.
but all the women.
Yeah.
And then we have Moira.
Escaping
Damn.
from the Red Center.
She's a badass.
Total badass.
Total badass.
Such a firecracker.
She's like the opposite of Offred.
Yeah.
Offred, who's just so
Just from holding everything in.
And Moira's just like,
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
I'm going to get out of this place.
And she does it.
She does.
And it shows that there are different ways to cope
to cope with this
with this oppression.
oppression,
Yeah.
like she just actively resists.
He takes action.
She takes action.
Yeah.
And she wants to break free.
Break free.
And it shows that even though it's dangerous,
Dangerous.
escape
Thankful.
is possible.
Yeah.
It gives you that little bit of hope,
A glimmer of hope.
a glimmer.
Yeah.
It makes you think,
What would you do
what would I do?
in that situation?
Would I fight back?
Would you escape?
Would I try to escape?
What lengths would you go to?
How far would I go
To be free?
to be free?
It's a question that sticks with you
It really does.
long after you finish the book.
And speaking of things that stick with you,
Yeah.
the birth ceremony.
The birth ceremony,
Oh.
it's something else.
It's so bizarre.
It really is.
This weird spectacle.
Of Gilead's control.
Control over reproduction.
But it also shows you all these emotions.
So many
The
emotions.
power dynamics. Oh, the power dynamics are fascinating,
Fascinating.
but also disturbing.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Poor Janine.
Poor Janine.
She's the handmaid
who's chosen
for this ceremony.
in this ceremony. And it's supposed to be this honor,
This huge honor.
but it's so clearly...
Like control
Yeah, man.
and manipulation.
It's all about manipulating her.
And then all the handmaids,
They all gather.
they gather.
And they're chanting.
They're chanting
They're going through the pain.
like they're all giving
know.
birth. It's like this weird,
It's so weird.
like they're all in it together.
This twisted sisterhood. But the only thing they share is this oppression.
Oppression.
Yeah.
Shared oppression.
And Serena Joy,
Don't even get me started.
right there in the middle, pretending to give birth.
Like it was her.
Like it was her triumph.
It's just,
It's so messed up.
it's disturbing.
It's disturbing.
It really shows how Gilead uses women
Uses women's bodies
as tools.
as tools.
As political tools.
Just for...
reproduction.
It's just reducing them
Of
to
vessels.
And it makes you think about
Motherhood. How Gilead twists it.
it's not about love.
It's not about love at
or
all.
nurturing.
It's about
fulfilling this mandate,
The societal mandate.
this need to repopulate.
And then you have that scene where Offred remembers
Remembers giving birth
time before
with Luke.
with Luke.
And she had freedom.
She had freedom.
It's like a punch to the gut
It is.
when you read that.
Because you realize what they've lost.
What's been taken.
Everything.
Speaking of taking
Oh, look.
Lydia, Aunt Lydia, she is just like
The embodiment
embodiment
of Gilead.
of Gilead and all of its twisted ideology,
She's like their mouthpiece.
like a walking, talking
Propaganda machine?
propaganda machine,
Yeah.
spouting all these justifications,
Everything they do.
twisting scripture
Oh, yeah.
and to make it all sound normal.
To normalize oppression.
Exactly.
And those scenes
In the Red Center.
at the Red Center.
Getting in with the hand,
She's just constantly
hammering in the rules.
hammering in the rules.
Yeah.
Reminding them
What their purposes.
what their purpose is,
Preying on
their vulnerability.
the weaknesses.
And it's this combination of fear
fear,
and manipulation.
manipulation
Like she'll remind them
of what will happen if they disobey.
of the punishments.
But then she'll say,
But if you're good,
you'll have a good life.
you'll have a child.
You'll have a family.
It's like the carrot and the stick.
Classic carrot and stick.
And she's so good at it.
She's good at her job.
Do you think she believes it?
That's a good question.
Or is she just playing the game?
Playing the game to survive.
Because even though she's in a position of power,
Yeah.
she's still
Under the thumb
under the thumb
of the patriarchy.
of the patriarchy.
Yeah.
It's interesting how she's both a perpetrator,
Yeah.
but also
And a product of the system.
a product of the system.
It really makes you think.
It makes you think about complicity
Yeah.
and how even people who seem to benefit
From these systems,
are actually hurt,
hurt by them.
diminished.
Our
Power corrupts.
absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
And speaking of corruption,
What about that ending?
oh my God,
God.
that ending.
Right.
We need to talk about that ending.
What happens to Offred?
That black van
Oh,
just like takes her away.
You're just left hanging.
I'm like, what happened?
I know.
Did she escape? Was she captured?
What happened?
Did Aunt Lydia get her?
Atwood just leaves us.
She leaves us hanging.
I know.
It's the ultimate cliffhanger.
And it's so powerful because you
I-
don't know.
You just don't know.
And it's like that in Gilead.
It's so unsettling.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, like,
What if?
what if she had stayed?
What would have happened?
What would have happened to her?
Would she have just given in?
Would she have just been like, okay.
Or would she have kept fighting?
Would she have found a way
To resist.
to resist,
Yeah.
even in the smallest ways?
In the tiniest little ways.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Atwood.
She doesn't give you those easy answers.
Yeah.
She makes you think.
It's like, what would you do
Yeah.
in that situation?
What choices would you make?
When you're faced with that kind of oppression,
And she reminds us
about hope,
that there's always hope.
even in the darkest times.
It's like resistance can be
So many things.
so many things.
It can be like Moira.
Moira escaping,
Yeah. Taking action.
taking action.
But it can also be,
A word,
yeah,
a look
a tiny little gesture.
that says, I'm not giving in.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
I'm still me.
I'm still me.
Yeah.
And then
Historical notes.
the historical notes.
At the end.
At the end,
Fine.
it's like this future history book,
Like looking back.
looking back on Gilead,
And Gilead's just
a footnote.
a footnote.
Oh, yeah.
This crazy thing that
What
happened.
happened?
But it's so interesting because
It's like it collapsed.
it did eventually collapse.
Gilead did collapse.
Wasn't sustainable.
But it makes you think, like,
what was the cost?
what was the cost?
How many people?
How many people were hurt?
What were the scars?
What were the scars that it left?
It's kind of sobering
It is.
when you think about it.
It's like it's a dystopian future,
Yeah.
but it's so relevant
But today
to what's happening in the world today.
makes you think.
It makes you think about like
Our freedom.
our freedoms and how important they are.
And how we need to protect them.
We need to protect them.
We need to challenge injustice
We need to speak out
against oppression.
against oppression.
Yeah,
It's a timeless book,
it is.
this Handmaid's Tale.
Timeless.
It shows us ourselves.
Hold up a mirror
It holds up a mirror
for society.
to society and all of the
Uncomfortable truths
uncomfortable truths,
about power
power, and control,
and how fragile freedom is.
and how fragile freedom is.
Yeah.
And on that note,
What a deep dive.
we come to the end
I know.
of our deep dive.
Onto this
Dylan.
thrilling and
And
thought-provoking.
the thought-provoking book.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
I know I did.
And keep the conversation going.
On Bookspace.
On Bookspace,
Share your thoughts.
share your thoughts.
Connect with other bookworms.
Connect with other bookworms.
We'll see you next time.
Until next time, keep those pages turning.
And those minds churning.
See you soon for another deep dive into the world of literature.